Please be advised we are speaking in our own individual capacities and not representing any companies we may work for.
We are not your lawyers, and any information given during this podcast does not constitute as legal advice and is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Enjoy the episode. Drumroll, please, for our special guest today. We have Kristian Del Rosario. So I'll give you guys a little bit of bio, and then we'll get all into the fun details. So Kristian's an attorney, professional portrait photographer, and content creator based in New York City.
Originally from Florida, she relocated to New York to pursue her legal career and earn her JD from New York Law School. She currently practices as a plaintiff's personal injury attorney and dedicates her free time to mentoring law students on law success, bar exam preparation, and career development. Her broad range of interests demonstrates a commitment to blend creativity with professionalism, redefining the traditional path often associated with practicing attorneys. So let's welcome Kristian.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Nicole just took I was like, I thought I was going to start. Yeah, you did the whole bio.
You were
I thought we were going back and forth.
You were highlighting, so I was like,
Kristian, this is going to be a fun episode because we obviously have the giggles today. And
I know.
This is how we're doing it. But hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We have another New York Law School alum, so now there's 3 NYLS alum / current students in the room today.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I love
Chris.
Girls Gone Legal because we've had so many New York's law school alum that I've never met either. Because, I mean, Kristian, you graduated a year ahead of me, and we were just talking about how we've never met. It's a small school, but if it's not like your grade or your section, there's so many
meet
people.
anyone outside of it.
Yeah, there's
I
really
low-key
no
don't
one
even
you're
know
gonna
everybody
meet.
in my grade. Even close to people in my grade. I was talking about this the other day. I was like, I am so I have been studying with the same people since 1L that I actually think I know 5 people's name in my whole law school right now, which is so bad.
Yeah, because when you're in school, you're just zoned in.
Yeah,
right?
and once you find your rhythm, I found people that I work well with, and it was just kind of I went a little bit laser focused, but
locked in.
Yeah, everyone has their own path in law school though, so you never know. But amazing. How are you? I would love to, we have some questions I think Nicole sent to you beforehand, but before we get into it, I would love to hear a little bit about kind of your journey, your story, how you got to where you are today, where you are today for our viewers, and just the full circle.
Take it away.
Of your story.
Of course. So, my name's Kristian. I am Dominican. So I grew up in a small beach town in Florida named Melbourne, Florida. And I pursued my undergrad at University of Miami. So I majored in communications, public advocacy, and media management, minored in journalism. For a hot second, I considered going into broadcast journalism my junior year of college. But I always had law school in the back of my mind, and I knew if I never tried, I would regret it. Mm-hmm. So, I took the LSAT. And then when I looked at all the options, I decided to move to New York. I had never moved out of the state when you think about it. So it's definitely been a ride. My first year of law school was completely remote, which is not traditional in any way, shape, or form.
You were living in the city while it was remote?
No, I lived at home with my parents.
Okay,
so
that was good.
Graduated college. I felt like I had not closed the chapter because I didn't experience graduation in any way, shape, or form.
And then had to go back to your parents' house.
Correct.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
So I lived at home until fall of 2021.
Okay.
Moved here and then obviously finished law school the last 2 years here in the city, graduated in 2023, took the New York bar in July, God willingly passed, and I've been doing civil litigation since.
Amazing. And did you know, we'll get into more of it, but did you know out in law school that you wanted to do civil litigation? What was the path to get you to that career choice?
I originally went in with the thought of entertainment and intellectual property because it is my background, but I'm the only lawyer in my family. I wanted to be open-minded about everything. And then 1L, when we did our oral arguments, I remember the professor was like, I think you're very comfortable in this space. I think you would excel at it. You should definitely dive into it. So after that, I joined trial competition team, and it really got me to get out of my shell. I always liked public speaking, but litigating is a completely different game. And so, when I graduated, I was kind of in this space of, okay, if civil litigation is the easier route to take right now, I'll do that because you're unemployed for such a long period of time when you take the bar. Yeah. And I knew deep down if I pursued IP, I would have to be unemployed for a while. And I just didn't want to do that in that time. So I took advice from some mentors and they told me, do litigation for a couple of years. And if you want to down the line go into IP, you won't have a problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Would you ever do like IP litigation? Like I know that's been kind of a hot buzzword right now lately.
Yeah. So during law school, I interned at 2 different firms. One was more trademark oriented, all transactional. And then the second semester, I was interning as an IP litigation anti-counterfeiting intern, which was really cool,
Yeah, it is
but
really cool.
also a very specific niche. So I think a lot of people don't realize there's different branches of IP, and it's not as broad as you'd think it is.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Did you take IP licensing and drafting while you were at NMLS?
I did.
It's as you're like talking about, I'm like, yeah, I learned about this stuff.
Yeah.
Are
That's
you in that
amazing.
class now?
I took it last semester.
Okay.
But it was talking a lot about like what you're saying and how like broad the umbrella of IP is and kind of the different things that I didn't even know existed that were in IP law. So very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. When you were going through law school and you were talking to mentors and even like after the bar exam, like what should I do? Litigation? Should I try IP? Who did you go to for that?
So I'm very close to, as many know him as Professor T, which
I love Professor
Anthony
T.
Iliakostas.
Love it.
I love him. I text him until this day.
Oh,
And I still voice memo him sometimes.
I told
because-
him he was the first person that knew about the podcast. I like was in entertainment law with Professor T, and I'm like, should I do a podcast? What do you think about this idea?
Yeah.
Like, because I always listen to his. So
I loved his classes. I
Yeah.
always looked forward to them, even if they were like super late.
yeah,
I just,
he's
I
great.
loved going.
He's awesome, and he's just a very approachable person. So I went to him, and I've told him many times, I feel this panic because I'm not ideally in what exactly I planned on doing. And he always says, Kristian, you're so young. You can do this transition years from now. It's really not a big deal if everything doesn't pan out immediately post law school grad.
Yeah. I think it's great to have some litigation experience. And then if you want to go into IP, go into IP. Because I know a lot of people that say, I just want to do contracts or transactional. I don't want to litigate at all. I don't want to be in the courtroom, which is fine. Like if that's what you want, completely go for it. And if that's what makes you happy. But I think we go through 3 years of law school to get some time in the courtroom a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And to have like that experience, and it pushes you out of your shell too, right?
Well, if you're good at it too,
if
like,
you're
that's
good
a
at
whole
it,
other thing. Like,
that's completely different ball game. So I think it's good to have that experience as well for a few years, especially just coming out of law school. Because I know a lot of people that don't go right into what they want right away, and they go into something else and they end up loving that.
100%.
So
yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, and to be told in your 1L year that you're like, hey, you're really good at this, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for you. And I mean, I think it's great for our audience to even hear, don't pigeonhole yourself. And if you're hearing that from other people, outside sources, maybe like open up a little bit to it and realize, wait, I am good at this, or maybe this is interesting to me. And I think it's funny, it's IP as your example, because we talk about that all the time. Entertainment law, sports law, IP law is very like sexy right now. Everybody loves the idea of it. And then
It's romanticized.
right. But it's
Yeah.
so niche that sometimes people forget to realize there's, like we said, there's so many other areas that still kind of touch in those buckets, but that are
Yes.
different, and you should like be willing to try them out. So
There's areas where creativity exists, but it's not attached to
right.
social media and art and small business owners, fashion, things such as that, because those are typically your clients in
Right.
IP.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, I love that. So from the get-go, like taking you back right to like when you were at University of Miami, what initially drew you to the field of law in general?
I have always loved the concept of being able to advocate for others through my voice. And you can ask any of my friends, I'm a very strong personality. I am a straight shooter, very blunt. And I thought if I could use my voice to help others in need, that's an awesome way to just live your life and to do that line of work.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
And you said you knew, it was always in the back of your head. Did you always know you wanted to do it? Like, I guess my question's more of like, when was that turning point of, okay, I'm going to take the LSAT, I'm going to apply, I'm going to do it?
So there was a career fair at my high school, and then I got invited to this law camp at Stanford one summer.
Amazing.
So I go there for 2 weeks. I meet a bunch of strangers, and basically we had to do a mock trial. So everyone had a different role. Like some people were witnesses, some people were attorneys, and then you had to present your case. Everyone's, on one side, and then at the end, one team would win. But that's where I kind of learned more about the process of how you apply to law school, what law school would be like, and trial experience per se. And after that, I was like, I really enjoyed it. So this is what I'm most likely going to pursue. So that was always the plan, but there was that second of doubt because I took a philosophy of law class in college. It was terrifying.
Oh,
we were
God.
just reading Shakespeare, all these things. And it was taught by the dean of the law school at Miami.
Okay.
And she said, this is what law school's like. I was like, if this is what law school's like, I'm not going to enjoy
Shakespeare.
law school
No part of this.
any way, shape, or form. So I fully withdrew from the class. It's the only class I ever withdrew from in my life because I didn't enjoy it. I was freaking out. And that just kind of set me back a bit. But I said to myself, I'm not going to allow a class to determine what a profession is going to be like,
Right. That's good for you. I think that it might have deferred me. I might have sat down and said, yeah, absolutely not. I'm not reading Shakespeare for the next 3 years. So
Yeah, those classes can be scary. They can be really scary.
It was misleading. Now I understand maybe what they meant. It was kind of reading a passage and then framing an argument from it or trying to understand what someone was trying to say.
Right.
But no, I'm sorry. It was not an interpretation
for
of what
me.
you read during your time in law school.
No, that's so funny.
I guess so. My next question for you is I want to kind of get into like your entrepreneurship. So was your transition into that something you planned or did it evolve organically as you progressed in your legal career?
So interestingly enough, I feel like I've just had this energy of being an entrepreneur since I was a little girl. So for example, with photography, the way that it began was I posted on Twitter that I was trying to build a portfolio and that I was looking for people to model for me in my hometown. So I started meeting strangers, started photographing them. And then in high school was when I took a photography class, kind of like honed in on my skills and started monetizing.
Okay.
And I remember when I went to college, I was very fearful that I wasn't going to be able to continue that because I'm being thrown into an environment where I know absolutely nobody, right? And all it took was one person to ask me to take photos for them. And then the next year, I was like booked out for senior graduation photos. That's kind of my niche.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to New York, obviously it's expanded to not only grads, but, couples, proposals. I shot a wedding around 2 years ago.
Wow.
So, I thought that it was not going to progress, but with time, it just did naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's amazing. I think, we talk about this so much on the podcast. It's so important to have other passions,
Oh, yeah.
Outside of law.
It's how you save yourself from the burnout, I feel like.
It
Being able to
is.
have like your own, especially being like it being something in the creative space. Like having
100%.
that as like you get to keep the creative side of you going. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, you just like switch your brain off for a little bit
Yeah.
and then, okay, back to law.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do it while you were in law
side.
school still, or did you take a break while you were in school?
No, so this is crazy of me, but every single spring semester, right before finals, I would flee to University of Miami for 2 weekends, book myself out from 8 to 12 p.m., 3 to 7:30 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, and just take photos of grads and fly back to New York, study for my exams. It's crazy. I still do it every year, and I don't know how I pull it off because at this point, I think I'm about to come up on year 10.
Wow.
And I graduated from college 5 years ago.
Wow.
But it's word of mouth,
Yeah.
Like people message me and say, hey, you took my friend's photos or my sister's. And it just keeps on going. So we'll see how long I keep going down there.
Yeah, that's I honestly, outside of my story is funny because it will be about something similar. I'm acting, so I do acting as well. And people always say, like, how are you still doing it while you're in law school? I'm like, I just make it work. You make the time for it. Like, you blocking out the time to be like,
You make the time.
I'm going to Miami. It made sense. Today, I just came back from Nashville, so my brain wasn't working properly this weekend, and I had an audition this weekend. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it in the hotel on the Sunday. I have lots of time. Clearly, I did not do it. And then I was at school today, like in Crim Pro, like, and I get an email from my agent being like, your audition's due in an hour.
Oh.
And I was like, I completely forgot about it. Oh my goodness. So what I do, I went online and I booked one of the conference rooms.
And just did it?
Said I had an interview and did my audition in the conference room.
Beautiful.
at law school.
See? You're getting it done.
I was like, I'll figure it out. I'll always get there. But it's just like, you got to just block your time out, figure it out, like put out the fires when they
It's
come.
true.
But yeah, so that's impressive that you're able to do that during exam time. I guess that's not the
It
best
was
time.
exhausting. No, yeah, because
You
they
didn't-
all graduate
Right.
around the time we take finals. And then they want to take the photos always in April. So then there's also Easter. So you can't go that weekend. It's always a mess, but I somehow make it work. But physically and emotionally, I am exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
It's
it's
a
the
hustle.
worst possible timing. You're like, grad photos happen once a year, and so do your final exams. So
Horrible.
Yeah.
figure it out.
But hey, I survived.
Yeah, and you're here now. And
Yeah, I know.
It worked out. That's amazing. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit, but is there any specific challenges you faced as a female attorney? Whoa.
I can't talk right now.
Words are hard this day. This day is crazy.
Crazy.
This is why Nicole couldn't speak last week. She just came off a flight. I'll try that one more time.
I can't tonight either.
Oh
I'm
my
going on a flight
goodness.
tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Okay.
Maybe that counts.
So what challenges have you faced as a female attorney in a competitive field, and what strategies do you use to overcome them?
This is a hard one to answer because unfortunately, I think the hardest challenge I've had to face is that I work better with men than I do women.
Wow.
And I just don't feel I've had great experiences in the legal field with women.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it has to do with the fact that a lot of women have this insecurity that we don't admit, but it's that the law field is very much male dominated.
Right.
So for example, every so often when I go to court, I am easily 1 in 5 women in the room for a simple conference, right?
Right.
And so I'm not sure if it's that sometimes women see another person and they consider them almost like a threat per se.
Mm-hmm.
But if anything, we want women to be building each other up. Because
Yeah,
again,
100%.
right now, I think the legal field is only comprised of 41% of women.
Yeah.
It's still not 50-50.
No.
So that is a very sad realization I've had over the years. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to get along with everyone you meet.
Right.
Personalities clash. It is just part of human nature.
Yeah.
But truly, it was a very weird thing to experience.
Mhm.
And I worked every semester of law school, and I always tried to work in different firms because, again, I didn't want to pigeonhole myself.
Mhm.
And, you know, there are some people that I look up to them as mentors and I love them, but it's
Yeah.
really sad when you had a vision of a person and then when you work with them, it's kind of tarnished.
Right.
Because it's nothing like you thought it was going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it intimidating when you first, like your example there, when you walked into a room and it is just like completely male dominated? Those like first couple times, was that like an adjustment period to kind of go through that, or was it more of like a motivator?
I find it to be motivating, but I do have moments where it is intimidating because when
Yeah.
I go to court, I'm typically the youngest person in the room. And it's
Yeah.
weird because there's so many young attorneys. If you look up how many people are graduating from law school nowadays, you'd think you'd go to court and you'd see more people your age.
Right.
But I also try to remind myself that there are people at certain firms that their job is strictly to appear for conferences and court. They're not in office at all. But yeah, I mean, I show up and most of the time defense counsel is a male attorney and they are significantly older than me. And, you know, I'm still learning the language and what you put in orders and everything when I go to court. So it is a learning curve, but it
Yeah.
definitely was a bit of a wake-up call when I
Really?
started going to court because the room is just full of men.
Wow. Was there a situation, you don't have to dive into specifics, where like it was almost like things were starting to click for you, or like it kind of like everything kind of set in stone of like, oh, this is how it has to be. Like I have to act a certain way, or I have to do this, or is it just been kind of like learning as you go?
I think it's been learning as I go.
Mhm.
I do also think the click moment happens for you when you're at a firm that you feel like you're being mentored and you're very comfortable with going up to your senior attorney or supervisor and ask a question to make sure you
Yeah.
are on the right track and not
Right.
having fear of that. Because especially as a young attorney, we're so paranoid of asking too many questions, but obviously you don't want to mess something up because then that's going to look horrible.
Right.
So better safe than sorry.
You want it to look like we know what we're doing,
Exactly.
right? We took the take the bar exam, you pass. You want to.
But you don't learn how to be an attorney in law school. I've always said this.
No.
You learn
learn how
this
to take
through
the bar exam.
practice.
Yeah.
So it's all about, you know, working in different environments and places. I think that's really what helped me be the person I am today. It was not law school.
I agree with you 100%. I feel like I've changed and grown from where I've worked.
100%.
Yeah, not law school. I mean, I feel like law school, like I love school, but I felt like in school it was just like, okay, let's study so much for this one exam. And then 2 weeks later, I forgot what was even on the exam.
We were just talking about that
like,
before.
I don't want to just forget it. I want to keep learning it and like see it in real life.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's school. So
how like whatever you're learning is actually being applied in the real world is so like this semester is really funny for me. I'm taking a drafting contracts class and at KML where I work, all I do is draft contracts. And it's so funny seeing like the class is great, but it's teaching you these like principles and these pillars and all these things where I'm like,
is it really the same?
No.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not what I do in the real world. And like, but it's funny. They're teaching you the fundamentals and the basics, but
It's funny when you'll take classes in law school where they'll say to you, yeah, in practice, it's completely different, but this is what you're learning now.
I'm like, why are we learning it this way then?
Yeah, like thank you for letting me know, but can we learn it the correct way?
Yeah.
No, I get that. Are you in a small firm or a big firm, medium size?
I would say they're kind of mid-size. We have different offices throughout the country. We're definitely growing very fast. But I mean, the personal injury team specifically in New York, it's not that many of us. I'd say there's around 12.
Okay.
But, you know, there's attorneys that also work in the asbestos side. So the firm does PI asbestos. And, you know, we have some people in Florida, New Jersey, Philadelphia. It's just all over.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you feel that you got, when you went into this firm, that you got that mentorship?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's
like,
amazing.
I love my boss. He is an amazing mentor. And I remember when I interviewed with him, he told me, this is a great opportunity for someone who wants to be in a teaching position and just like a teacher role.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of firms in the city, they'll just throw you into the fire.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I was interviewing at places, that was the one thing I didn't want. Not saying that I don't feel like I'm not able to handle things on my own, but I think especially in the beginning stages, you kind of need to really get into a routine and understand how things go, especially in litigation.
Yeah. No, definitely. Because I hear so many stories right now that everybody's graduated, like they're kind of not getting what they want out of it. So I've been hearing a lot of stories where they like it and they're getting that learning experience. Some people are getting thrown right into it. So that's why I wanted to ask you that.
Every firm's different. I've heard that the bigger firms, you are thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
When they're smaller, you have a much more intimate experience typically. But I also think it depends if you're at a firm that they work in teams.
Okay.
So like, for example, my boss and I, we're a team. It's us two and then two paralegals. But majority of the other attorneys at the office, it's just them and their paralegal. So it's different. But there are some firms that I interviewed at that they're all teams.
Right.
And then it's kind of a competition because you're rewarded based on how much each team settles.
Right.
So it depends on the dynamic of the firm, 100%.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. And I guess it also will depend on kind of what your style is as like an attorney. Like how would you prefer to, because I've talked to people too that prefer to just be like thrown in and they love the sink or swim mentality. So I think it really depends on who it is.
Yeah.
No, I think straight out of law school, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not
No, it
me.
is
Not I,
terrifying.
but like I've heard or we've had people on that are just like, I just like to see. I'm like, that's scary. It's like the throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks mentality. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's definitely, when you graduate, it's definitely like, I don't want to say like a hit, but like a lot comes at you at once because then it's the bar exam, right? You're gonna experience this next year. Sorry to say it.
There's a lot to figure out.
Yeah, there's a lot to figure out. There's a lot of change. So it's like, you take the bar exam, right? You come off like the high of graduating and you graduated, now you're studying. And then after the bar exam, you have like that good month or so. And then you're just like right into work. And like we said, it's so different than law school.
Being in school.
Yeah.
So then it's like change, like 3 different changes the same year.
Yeah, it's
But
gonna be a fun
we
one.
all do it.
You mentioned in one of your a minute ago that it's a good place to be where you are right now if you enjoy like the teaching side of things. So what was it in your past or currently that motivated you to focus on like mentoring? So that side of helping law students or wanting to impact them and that side of like what you're enjoying doing.
So the first step for me was when I graduated, I remember I received an email from the mentorship bar program at New York Law, and they said, if you're interested in being a bar mentor, sign up. So after I graduated, every single bar examination, February and July, I sign up for it. And it's just a really nice experience because I like people realizing that they're not alone in their experiences. And so being able to mentor law students, I feel like I'm giving back to the community to some extent. But it's also because I think about the time when I was in law school where I was not sure what I was doing. And since I'm the only attorney in my family, I didn't have someone to lean on during those times. And yeah, you have your law school friends and everything, but everyone's figuring it out. So I've made a lot of great relationships with people. I also have heard that I'm just like an approachable person to some extent, I guess. So I've had people that work at New York Law School that have sent me a student saying, hey, talk to her. She's a good person that you can connect with. And so that's kind of how this happened. But funny enough, this year I posted on TikTok that if anyone wanted bar mentorship to reach out to me because I had the New York Law School mentees. And so I was a little overwhelmed because I checked my DMs and there were around 50 to 75 people giving me their emails. So I basically created an email chain where every so often I would email them, check in, and say, you know, if you want to text me, email me, call me, tell me what your concerns are, and I can kind of walk through it with you. I wasn't teaching people law. It was more of helping them figure out what was the best way to study or what to do. And so, funny enough, I had a couple of people that they really did that. And I'd voice memo them during my free time and I'd say this and this. So I just enjoy it because I really do feel that it's relatable because I went through it. And to know that I can help someone feel better about the experience brings me joy.
I love it.
Yeah,
Can we have like a little bit of your expertise then? Like what if you had to give a couple tips for like bar prep specifically? I'm like, this is selfishly for me, but what would you say like going
me
through
too, because
that?
I got to take Florida in February.
I have trauma from Florida.
I'm struggling right now. So.
I have sat for Florida more than once and I still haven't been able to pass it. That exam is a doozy.
Yeah.
But for bar prep, I'd say the first thing that is very important is to be self-aware. Unfortunately, people are so caught up in trying to finish their Themis or Barbary schedule and, you know, checking off the tasks. And then when July rolls around and they take the simulated exam, they realize that they have not really consumed the information. And so at that point, I'm not saying it's not possible to bring it together the last month.
We're kind of close.
But I think it's just you feel so much pressure to keep going because you're learning so many subjects and you're on a timeline, right? And so sometimes you just have to stop and really just stray away from the schedule and focus on that one subject or subtopic you're really struggling on and then get back into the routine. And I think a lot of people are just so fearful of that because you know, in law school and these courses, they tell you, okay, you have to really move. You don't have the time to stop and change the schedule. And I also do believe that you shouldn't have too many materials or resources because then you will become more overwhelmed. There's people that they want to rely on things outside of Themis. You know, there's Adaptabar, which I always tell people they should get. But I think if you have too much, it does not guarantee you're going to pass. If anything, I think you're just not going to have the time and you might focus on the wrong things.
I as you're saying that, I'm like, okay, Katie, because that's something I for sure would do. Just be like, I got to get through this subject and just move on to the next. And then I look back and I'm like, what? Like, what did I learn? So that's important. So would you say then you would just kind of take the time to hone in on the stuff you're maybe struggling more with and just then alter your schedule? Like, would you still say you have to finish the whole thing by a certain date or?
So I personally don't know anyone who finished 100% of their Barbie or Themis course. The school will tell you that your goal is around 80 to 85, I think.
Right.
And that's what I did because when I was nearing the end of bar prep, I was like, okay, I am more afraid of the first day, which was writing. So I called a professor. I said, can you help me come up with a schedule of how many more essays I should do for each subject? And so that's what I focused on. But there were people that they were more paranoid. So they were like, I'm only adhering to the Themis or Barbie schedule. I'm not going to, not follow this. But I knew personally what I was good and what I was not good at. So then I decided to focus on those things.
Right. How did you know you were not good at one? Just like based on you were getting through the multiple choice a lot easier?
The scores.
Perfect.
The scores don't lie.
Amazing.
Like I remember I have always been bad at property. And when I got to the property section, which is pretty early on, at least for Themis, I'm not sure what order Barbary did it in, I was just having a moment of, I don't know how I'm going to continue. So I fully took, I think, 4 days where I outlined the subject, did questions, and did not follow the schedule. Did it put me a bit behind on the schedule? Yes. But in the end, I think it was very beneficial for me because I needed to learn the subject.
Right. You knew that was going to be your struggling
Yes.
point. Right.
Do you have any advice? This is for me too. For people that are working full time and also trying to get through their study schedule?
Yeah, working full time and studying for the bar is not for the weak. I will definitely say that in order to keep my mental well-being in a good place, I would not dedicate more than 4 hours Monday through Friday. Like, let's say I would get home from work at around 6. I'd typically have dinner, shower, try to be at my desk by 8 to 9, and then I would try to put in 2 to 3 hours. But you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, you need to put in 5 hours after work. I just knew I physically could not do that. And I did discover something after I took my first bar exam. I genuinely did not have the stamina that I had during the summer. Because when you study full-time, it's all you do. Yeah. And when you have everyone else in your life doing the same thing, you're in the zone.
It's all you know.
Right?
It's all you know.
But then when you're studying while you're working, you're physically exhausted because you're practicing law.
Yeah.
So imagine going home and then you have to read more law. So that's what I did. And then during the weekends, I would try to do 5 or more hours. But I was not able to put in 8 hours one day the way that I did before because I didn't have it in me.
So on Saturdays and Sundays, you weren't going like a full day?
I just could not make a full day happen.
Because you were
For example,
exhausted,
when you study full time, I'd say we studied on average 8 to 10 hours a day. And obviously, it became more intense the last 2 weeks of bar prep. But when I was working full time, I think the most I did on a weekend was maybe 6 hours because I was just brain dead by that point.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
No, but I do want to ask more about personal injury and kind of like that world. What are some misconceptions people have about personal injury law and how do you address them in your practice?
A lot of people think that personal injury attorneys are ambulance chasers. And that's just not the case. I feel that people think we're standing on the streets trying to see if someone gets injured and give a business card out. That's not the case.
You.
You're on the road. Ooh, ambulance. Go.
Calls come in saying, hey, I've been injured.
Right.
Do I have a case? That's how it happens. Yeah. But for some reason, that's what everyone thinks. And I think it also stems from maybe what you see in TV shows.
I was going to say, where did that come from?
Mainstream media, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes good TV. No, I love that. And is there like anything that you've learned that stood out to you, maybe the importance of empathy or understanding your role as the plaintiff's attorney that you didn't realize before stepping into these roles?
So when you represent plaintiffs, which are people, not corporations, empathy is so important because you're going to speak to your clients in a way sometimes that has nothing to do with their case. I've had clients call me to update me on their lives and they just want to talk to someone. Oh. I had a client a couple of weeks ago that she told me her and her partner broke up and she started crying and I just tried to walk her through it. And I think also a lot of people forget that in personal injury, these people wait years for a settlement, you know? And
Yeah.
if they are incapacitated or disabled because of their injuries, their life completely changes. And it's a really hard reality to face. So you really have to be patient. And also, a lot of my clients are Spanish speakers.
Right.
And they don't understand the legal system. And I have to explain it to them. And it's also being patient, because even though we understand the process and we know how the world of law works, they don't. And you don't want a client thinking that their case is taking a long time because you're not doing your work. It's all
Right.
dependent on the county you're filing the case, who you're suing, and I can't control the court's docket,
Right.
you know? And that's unfortunately the reality.
Right. I didn't even think about that people might just think you're not doing your job good enough.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I mean, you've talked about it a little bit, but is there anything you do to manage that kind of emotional side, or like the emotional challenges that come along with dealing with real people and like realistically, like real trauma they're going through?
I'm a real advocate of separating work from life.
Amazing.
Truly. The one thing about me is I preach having work-life balance. So I don't take my computer home unless I'm going to court the next morning and I have to study up on the facts and the injuries on a person's case. I leave everything at work.
Yeah, that's
Because-
good. Some
And
separation.
hey, there are clients that they have called or texted me on a weekend and I respond to them because I don't have an issue doing that, especially if I know the answer on hand.
Right.
But as an attorney, especially as a litigator, we live very stressful lives. I think we're always in this fight or flight mode.
No, we are.
And so being able to separate that is very important.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we always are in that fight or flight mode. I mean, even today when you said, are you driving into the city? I was like, no, I'm Ubering because I just needed to sit there. I just needed to sit. Like, me Ubering into the city just now was like my downtime. I sat there, this is nice. I'm not doing it.
Being in
And then I'm-
silence.
Just being in silence. And I was so tempted to be on my phone and start like doing stuff and handling things. And I'm like, no, put the phone down. You need some separation. But
I mean, that's
it's always
great.
go.
The fact that you have that like ability to say, okay, I'm not bringing my computer home is nice too. I mean,
It's not necessary. Unless there's a deadline, you have to submit a motion. But typically you're going to submit a motion before 5 p.m.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah, the
But
courts are closed.
everyone's way of work is different.
Right. I guess so. Then on that, what does a typical day look like for you then? So like everywhere from like juggling work responsibilities to the photographer side and then content creating, which I know we haven't really talked about, but I would love to hear more about. What does that day look like for you?
Right now, not going to say every day doesn't look the same.
Right.
But it depends, first off, if I have to go to court in the morning, which typically appearances are at 9:30. And then unfortunately, a lot of it is waiting around for them to call your case.
Yeah.
So I've had to appear all over Queens, New York County, Kings County, Bronx, just all over. But if I'm not doing that, I'm typically trying to catch up on content, which is filming a collab, a partnership, an ad, and then I'll be editing the video while I'm on the train. I get to work. I'm at my desk majority of the day. I love going to Kava or Just Salad to get lunch.
Oh, that's where we went last
Love
time.
Kava.
Oh, Kava's so good.
So good.
And then I typically eat in my office. I do a little bit of work, but I try to kind of, step back because it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
And I leave the office at around 5:30 to 6.
Okay.
Depends though, because sometimes we have our monthly attorney meetings. So it'll be the partners coming in, everyone on the PI team shows up. We talk about what's going on at the firm. We'll also have a table talk if anyone has cases where there might be an issue with liability or they're really not sure what to do. And so everyone will pitch in and give their opinion to help that person navigate that. And then I go home. Sometimes if I didn't film content in the morning, I'll film it at night. And walk my dog. I have a tiny chihuahua at home.
Oh, I love it.
What's his or her name?
Sophie.
Oh, I love it.
Sophie, I love that.
I love it.
So I have a quick question more about like the content creating, especially as like Girls Gone Legal is growing. There's this one video I've been wanting to make for about 3 weeks for Girls Gone Legal because I love like the outfits. Like I love putting together like professional work attire. I can never just like find a second to like take a video for it and like
Yeah, like do you time block your content or do you like mass record? Like what's your What's your content schedule?
I have an issue where a lot of the content that does well for me is just yapping.
Always.
And so
Never the ones you actually edit and try hard. That's my problem.
I genuinely am a person that likes to record in real time. If a thought comes to my brain, I like recording it in that moment. But unfortunately, that's not a luxury I have with having a full-time job.
Right. You're like in the courthouse, like pulling your phone.
It's really about
1 second, Judge.
No, and also there's people who glamorize their jobs, and I'm not saying you can't do that with law, but I can't bring my iPhone to court and record what's going on.
Right.
I can just film the outside, but majority of the time I'm sitting at my desk at work. So what is going to be entertaining about that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But I did try recently to do a content day where I recorded 2 videos on a Saturday. And when I tell you it took me 5 hours to do 2 videos between recording and then cutting it, and there was one that I had to do a voiceover, it is very time consuming.
Yeah.
So I try, for example, to post every single day something. I do believe in quality over quantity. You'll hear so many people tell you you should be posting 5 times a day. For me, that's not realistic. If I did it full time, we'd be having a different story.
Right.
Yeah.
But I try to do maybe like an outfit video in the morning, or if I'm doing my makeup and want to rant about something, it's just really what comes to me, but I don't have a schedule. And the whole thing of having a content day, I'm not saying I don't believe in it, but it doesn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah, that's valid.
So that's the reason why, for me personally, it doesn't work that well, but I think it depends on what content you're putting out.
Right.
Okay.
If it's, for example, informational, then I feel like you already have a script and you know what you want to say. But if it's on a whim, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You know?
I have an off-topic question for both of you guys, since you're both content
Sure.
creators. And I had this thought today. That's why I have to ask it on the podcast, because I wonder if other people think this too that aren't on like TikTok or anything, or like on Instagram Reels. When you have a thought and you just like want to talk like to TikTok or to your screen, do you just do it like anywhere that you are? Like
I have done it on the streets recently with my little microphone.
And like you don't care if someone's like listening, like you're just like go for it, right?
I still have some social anxiety.
Yeah, like if someone
I'll
walks
be
by, someone's putting my
transparent.
phone down. I'm just like,
Because I was like in an Uber. I was in an Uber the other day.
Ubers, I don't care.
And I was just like,
Ubers are a good place, but you just need a selfie light.
Yeah, 'cause they're dark in there.
well, I was like, oh, I had a thought. I have a lot of thoughts. I was like, I wanted to make a video. And then I'm like, is this Uber driver going to think I'm like nuts? For like, he's going to be like, who are you talking to?
Yeah, no,
So
I
I
would
was
do
like,
that.
all right, I'm not going to do it. But so I have like that like fear a little bit. So I'm kind of just like questioning both
It
of
depends
you
where I
guys.
am. I think it depends. Like,
It depends where you are, but I make most of my content from home, I will say.
Yeah.
Most of my
Okay.
content is indoors.
Yeah. Indoors.
my friend Seth will literally do it like at the start of class. Like class is like about to start, and he's like, wait, I have a good TikTok. Like post one, and I'm like, king.
I love
like,
that.
Yeah.
No, seriously. And I've had moments where I've done an outfit video in my office, or I've done a law-related video at my desk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
And it's not the end of the world.
No.
Yeah.
So
How did you
good to
get
know.
like when did you start content creation? Like was that a law school thing or post law school, pre-law school?
So I started posting content in law school, but it was not authentic in any way, shape, or form. I felt like I was too fixated on being the whole skincare, fashion person, and I
Right.
sounded like a robot.
Right.
So I would do just reviews, or I'd say, this is what I'm wearing to dinner tonight. I look back at those videos, and it's not that I cringe, but it's just not entirely who I am. So then I'd say this past year, I became very strict with myself to posting one video, right? And I didn't care what it was, but I also wanted to see what would stick. So I learned that, for example, a lot of people seem to care about what I talk about. I learned that a lot of videos pertaining to advice in the legal field did very well. And I think it's because there aren't a lot of law creators to begin with who create engaging content. I started a solo date series where I just do random activities in the city, and I try to inspire people to get out of their house, even if they don't have
love
a
that.
friend
I
to
love
do
that.
things with.
Yeah.
So it was just posting a little bit of everything about my life. And I've liked doing that because now I'm under the lifestyle bucket. And I've been invited to events that are all in different types of categories.
Right.
So I'm not just one thing. I feel like I have a lot of different interests.
Yeah.
But also, unfortunately, most women, when you think about it, they want to do the fashion, the beauty side.
Yeah.
But it's so saturated.
Yeah.
Unless you have insane style, I think it's so hard to
make it.
really stand out on TikTok.
Yeah.
But I'd say this year is really when I dedicated more time and saw growth. I was honestly stagnant for 2 years. I think also when I graduated from law school and I studied for the bar, I did not have the time nor the capacity
Yeah.
to create content the way I wanted to. But I
Right.
sometimes do regret that I didn't really try to do more law-related content when I was in law school. But then I think everything happens for a reason, because I'm not saying I wasn't emotionally mature when I was in law school, but now that I'm out of it, I look at it way differently than when I was
Right.
living it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've had this conversation with other guests as well. Do you ever get nervous being on social media and then working for a firm?
Yeah, or like pushback from
Yeah.
employers.
I've been very lucky to work at places where they don't really mind my social media
Amazing.
presence. I'm also not a person that has 100,000 followers or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Maybe in that situation they would. But it's sad because I see a lot of people who work in big law that have been
Yeah,
faced,
it's like a
they
big
face the
thing.
decision of being told, okay, we found out you have this many followers on social media. We're not comfortable with it. Either you stop making content or you leave.
Yeah.
And these people typically are at a point where they're monetizing, so they leave, because if you really look at the statistics and how much these content creators can
Yes.
make,
Yeah, it's
you
sick.
can make way more than at your corporate job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think it also depends on what you post.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that there's appropriate things and not appropriate things, but I've always made an effort to keep my image clean.
Right.
Because
right.
obviously I know my clients or anyone can look me up on the internet.
Still professional.
Yeah.
And still,
And
yeah.
there's a way to have a personality, be in your 20s, embrace that, but
Yeah.
also still be a professional attorney.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's finding the balance. But
Yeah.
I think 100% it depends on the type of law you practice in, how large your firm is, and how old the partners are. I've noticed that people who are younger, they embrace social media, they understand the influence. Like the partners at my current firm have said, I would love your input on social media. We're trying to do more of it, and I know you're really into that. That's amazing. But
Yeah.
then older people, if they're more in this traditional mindset,
Right.
they do not want anything.
They want the
to do with it.
separation of the
Well,
two.
social media is the marketing now. It's not newspapers anymore, you know?
Oh, yeah. Like,
Like,
that's like.
that's how you market. If you want something to grow, you want your business or your firm.
Well,
or
and it's
something-
just like, it's not realistic to think that it's not going to touch you in some way. Like, and that's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
Like, and I hope that as we get younger people in these C-suite positions and as the execs, it'll start being a thing where people don't have to quit big law just because they want to do influencing as well. Like, I think it's something we preach all the time on the podcast. Like, you can wear so many hats. And I think it's nice that, like, you're a great example of, like, being able to do that and not have to pick between the creative side and content creation, the photography side, or being a lawyer. You can do all three.
And there
that's
comes a point for
fine.
a lot of people where they have to make the decision for
Right.
their mental well-being
Right.
that they have to leave one or the other.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's people leaving their corporate job.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how long
If I can't
social media is
financially, I would
going to
love
happen.
that.
No, seriously. I've talked to my parents about this.
Yeah.
I've said if I were to get to a point where I'm making more money in social media than I am at my corporate job, I'm going to leave. And
Yeah.
it's because I have my JD. No one can take that away from me.
Never.
I am a licensed attorney.
Yeah.
I can go back if
At
I want
any
to.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
100%. No, I love that.
Yeah. I love
Um,
that outlook.
I have one more question, then we'll do a quick rapid fire. So just my last question overall is, what does success look like for you personally and professionally?
For me, it's alignment in what I do, who I am at work, outside of work, and the values I have in my life. So it's finding the balance with, accomplishing the goals you want to, but also finding time for the things that you love. For me, it's traveling, spending time with my family and friends. And if all of those things together can mesh, that's success to me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. What is the first thing you do when you wake up?
Cuddle my dog.
I love it.
Aw. Oh, I love that. I'm such a dog person. What's your favorite coffee or tea order?
Fun fact, I don't drink coffee or tea. I'm not sure how I
Ever?
survived law
Neither do
school
I.
without it. I love hot chocolate. That's like my guilty pleasure. So I start my morning with
It is
hot
you.
chocolate. It does not matter if it's 90 degrees outside. I don't care.
Never, like, not even law school. Like, where'd you get your caffeine
No.
from? Did you get energy drinks or like?
I don't drink
caffeine?
caffeine.
Wow. See, I drink a lot of Coca-Cola.
I don't drink soda.
Oh my
That's
God.
good. That's
like,
amazing.
okay, if I go out and I get a drink, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
but I'm
okay.
very much a water person.
So you like wake up in the morning, go to work, and you don't have any ounce of caffeine?
No.
This is crazy.
Wait,
to
where
me.
do you get your hot chocolate from?
It's Nesquik.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not that
But
special.
Starbucks
With
hot
milk.
chocolate's really good.
She only will drink frappuccinos or hot chocolate.
In the winter,
I'm like a
hot
5 cup
chocolate,
of coffee day girl.
5 cups.
I don't love the taste.
What is something you can't live without?
My passport.
That's a
I-
great answer.
I am an avid traveler. I remember in
Yes.
law school, my friends were like, bro, where are you going this weekend? Because I think last year alone, I went on 12 trips.
Wow.
And
I love that. That's
and
inspiring.
hey, I have family in Florida, so I'm not
Right.
going to say that's not a trip, but I'm flying somewhere.
You're going home.
But
It's an excuse to go home. Yeah. No,
a
that's
trip.
so funny. That's literally me and Nicole. We were literally laughing at that because
Yeah.
someone literally the other day said to me that it was like a rumor going around that first, when I was filming that movie, people thought I dropped out of law school. So I came back after being gone for a month and a half, and everyone's like,
I'm
"Oh,
here.
we thought you dropped
Surprise.
out." Yeah. And then there was a rumor going around that I wasn't really in law school, and it was only
It was part of a movie?
It was part of like me
Wait, that's funny.
like learning about characters for a movie. And I'm like, no, I'm
What?
literally here.
Are you
guys."
serious?
Yeah, like someone at law school thought that. I was like, no, I'm here and I'm struggling with all of you.
When you walk across the
Yeah.
stage, that's not
I know, I'll
for
let
a
them
movie.
know.
That's real.
Yeah, but that passport, that's a good one.
Mhm.
Oh, love the frequent flyer miles. We love those.
Yeah. I'm on the move constantly.
Yeah.
And like I don't stop. I just go straight from like work to the airport.
Oh, the
From the
amount of
airport
times that
back
I've
to
brought
work.
my suitcase to work.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, where are you going? You don't need to know.
Yeah. That's why I'm best friends
Away.
with the front desk guy at NYLS because I'm like, can I leave my suitcase here? And he's like,
No.
yes, Katie. I'm like,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
because
Like,
to
go
stroll
right
into
the
class with
airport.
it?
No, it's
No.
embarrassing, but I still do it sometimes.
Whatever.
Okay, next one is in one word, how would you describe your leadership style?
A visionary.
Love it.
Okay.
If you could photograph any person or any event, what would it be?
With living in New York, I'd say a goal is to photograph some type of New York Fashion Week event, even if it's just standing outside of a venue and snapping photos and hopefully a model just reposting it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that'd be sick.
I love that.
What's the most underrated skill you think attorneys should have?
People skills.
Love it.
Do you know the number of people in law school that focus on grades, but then they do interviews and they don't get jobs because they don't know how to speak to people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could believe
It's
that.
insane.
I
I've
said-
had that conversation.
It is
before.
so important. If you're a person that works for single individuals
Yeah.
and not corporations, you have to have really good people skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's a big thing I always said. I'm like, sometimes I'm better in law school, but for undergrad, I was like, my grades don't get me into the job, but if you get me in the room, I'll sell myself real quick.
personality
Like,
hire.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love networking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I love
am-
talking to people. I'll talk to people all day. I don't want to answer multiple choice questions.
I know. I will
Absolutely
stay
not.
the personality hire at every job I'm at, and I'm proud. I am proud. I can also do my job, but personality hire. What is a red flag in a legal document that you always look out for?
I'd say in personal injuries specifically, when you're looking at a release and it doesn't name the single defendant, but instead says all persons.
Okay. That's a good one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gotta look for those little things, right?
Yeah.
You never
Trickies,
know.
yeah.
They could mean a lot. All right, next. Who's your favorite female founder or role model?
I personally love the founder of Cult Gaia. Her name is Jasmine
Cool.
Heckman.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love her.
And I
Sorry.
think it's learning that
Love
her father was the founder of Bratz. And then she went to
I didn't know
fashion
that.
school.
Mhm.
And the way that her brand started was she started giving her friends these flower crowns. I actually didn't know that the brand began with jewelry and all of that.
Mm.
And so she wanted to expand it into clothing, but everyone said, well, why don't you focus on this since you're excelling at it? So her hobby just turned into a passion. And of course, now we all know Cult Gaia as a brand that
Yeah.
sells clothes, purses, shoes, everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
I love them. My favorite
it's a
pair of
cool brand.
pants are called Gaia Gap Collab.
Oh my gosh, same.
So good.
They're jeans.
Oh, mine are like the cargo.
Oh,
like,
I
the
tried those
barrel
on.
cargo.
Oh wait, I
Love
have
them.
those in black.
I have the green ones.
Oh,
We
they're
should have
so
matched.
good.
They're so good. And what's one myth about attorneys you wish people would stop believing?
That we're liars.
Ooh,
If you're a good attorney, you don't need to lie. Stand by that.
Damn.
clip that. So good.
Yeah, we're gonna clip that one. That's gonna be the introduction to your
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, I love that. That was good.
All right, last question. What's a staple item in your professional wardrobe?
Ooh.
An oversized black blazer. No
Yes.
doubt.
Love that.
Yes, I love this.
And you can use it professionally and out and about.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, day to night, real quick.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
like,
You
I
got a
love
nice
it.
one on right now.
thank
I
you.
know.
It's classic, just like a classic clean look.
I love it. Amazing. We end our podcast the same way every single time. So the last question, I guess, to say is if you were to send yourself one text message when you were either in our shoes or when you're starting law school, what would you say?
That it's okay if everything doesn't happen the way you planned.
I love
I
it.
have been a person that there's been many moments where I envisioned a certain thing for myself and life has not panned out that way. But you learn later down the line, it's either you're not ready for that opportunity and there's something else out there for you, but it's really just being able to pivot.
Yeah.
Most important thing.
No, I
love
love
that.
that. That's where I am right now.
The
I
importance
never
of
imagined
pivot,
that. So.
that's a skill I feel like that is hard to teach or hard to learn, I guess. Like you have
Yeah.
to really
You have
It
to
comes
just
with
go
experience.
with it. You have
Yeah.
to go with
And
it.
I think when there's people that everything happens for them the way they want it to, it's harder for them because they're used to this routine.
things working
Yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah.
But if you're a person that, you get a curveball thrown at you,
Yeah.
you will learn how to pivot real quick.
Yeah. No, I love that. This was honestly such an amazing podcast. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much for having
coming
me.
on.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like
Thank
I'm like,
you.
I relate to you so every time you say something like, me too. Yep. No, I love that. I agree. I agree.
Me
that was
too. I'm like,
amazing.
hot chocolate.
I know. This is amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Of course.
We'll link all the socials. Everybody, you'll see them down below.
Yes.
But this was a great podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
You guys know we will
course.
see you in 2 weeks, in 2 Mondays from
Yes.
now. But in the meantime, follow us on all of our socials: Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn,
Everywhere.
Yeah.
all of them. Perfect. Until then, stay stylish
Stay sharp.
and stay legal.
Bye,
Bye guys.